Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cold Hard Truth Podcast. I'm Jack Smith, and in this video, I'm going to be bringing you guys my scouting report for Trey Lance. And while the mainstream media may love Lance, I'm a little bit more skeptical. If this sounds interesting to you, stick around for the rest of the video as I dive into Lance's film, statistics, and off-the-field personality. This is just a piece of our 2021 NFL Draft Scouting Report series, where we will bring you guys the cold, hard truth on some of the biggest draft prospects this year. You can find a playlist with each scouting report that we have done down in the description or linked up right here. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on future scouting reports and tons of other football content. But without further ado, let's get into my scouting report for Trey Lance. Before touching on the negative parts of Lance's film, there's a couple positives that I want to talk about. Lance is really an athletic freak. I mean, you watch him and the athleticism shines out on tape. I think he runs like a stronger Lamar Jackson, which is a scary thought. He also has a very strong arm and good accuracy throwing the ball deep. But unfortunately, I think that these things are very flashy and they've kind of clouded a lot of people's views of Lance, and they see these traits and it clouds them from some of the more technical things that we'll get into. And when it comes to those negative tendencies, there are two main things that Lance does that makes me skeptical about what he could be in the NFL. First, I think he holds his eyes on his first read for far too long. You see, he was conditioned to do this because at NDSU, the Division II school that he plays at, the first read is almost always open. You see that a lot of his touchdowns that he throws are schemed open, or the fact that his receivers are just wide open. So he was conditioned to believe that on every play, his first read is going to be the open one. And unfortunately, for a draft prospect, that's something that you got to look out for because he's been conditioned to not work through his progressions or anticipate throws. And that's something that really honestly scares me. In this play right here against Butler, this was his first read. It was a deep ball down the side of the field and it's wide open. His receiver is wide open. And yes, it's a good throw. I'm not taking away from the throw. It was an amazing throw. But the problem is this play conditioned Lance to feel like the wide receiver one and his first read is always going to be wide open. And that led to what happens in this play. This play against Central Arkansas, where Lance throws his only interception he's thrown in his entire career, he looks at one guy the entire time. It's a post over the middle, and it's nowhere close to open. There's a safety right there, but he's conditioned to believe that that route is going to be open because for almost his entire North Dakota State career, he has been able to throw to his first read and only his first read, which is something that in the NFL, it's not going to fly. So you can't just rely on your first read to be open for a throw. The problem is you rarely see Lance move to his second read. Because getting into my second negative I saw on film, he's either going to look at his first read and run, or he's going to look at his first read and throw it. That's how it works. Lance's progression is pretty simple. He takes the snap, he either throws to his first read, or he runs. He's a first read or run kind of guy, and that's not going to work in the NFL. It's just simply not going to work. Here's a play from the same game as that interception. Lance looks at his one receiver, realizes he can't throw to the first guy, and so he just runs. I mean, you know, most quarterbacks, you want to see them be able to scan through their progressions, look at their first read, their second read, their third read, and then maybe run. Lance looks at his first read, realizes he's not open, and tries to scramble, and it doesn't even work this time. But you go back and you look at a lot of Lance's big runs over his career too. It's a lot of look at the first guy. If he's not open, immediately ditch and run. And that's a problem. You cannot get by in the NFL if you're doing that. And that's why I'm a little skeptical of Lance. Those two things. If his first guy isn't open, his immediate reaction is to run. And also that he's been conditioned to believe that his first guy will always be open. And that's something that defenses will figure out in the NFL, and they will stop that. And that's kind of the cause of a lot of my skepticism. The problem is, even in this one game against Central Arkansas, that team was able to prepare for Lance. They were able to realize that take away his first read and then stop him from running. You can expose him. He was not good in that game. And that kind of scares me because when he was exposed in that game, what's going to happen when he gets to the NFL? But stick around to the end of the video to see my overall opinion of Lance as a prospect. But I think the film specifically shows you a quarterback who's been conditioned to have everything there for him. And that has conditioned him into some bad tendencies that I wonder whether he'll be able to fix when he gets to the NFL. As I have said in every other scouting report that I've done so far, I need to see stats extrapolate over time and improve every year. And unfortunately, there's no way for us to see that with Lance because he's only played one full season. So while he had a 67% completion percentage and 42 total touchdowns and a remarkable 0 interceptions, it's tough not to think, what are we getting here? And that's really what I see from Lance. It's not that I'm hating on him. I'm just skeptical because I'm like, what exactly are we getting from this prospect? And that's something that I'll get into it in the overall thing right after we talk about the off the field stuff with Trey Lance. And I think I kind of just set you up there because there is nothing off the field with Trey Lance. I mean, he is a strong, tough, poised leader for his football team. He's a sharp guy. There's really no personality issues. This is the third one of these that we've done. We haven't come across someone with off the field issues. This category just isn't created for, a good amount of these top prospects. We just leave it here as a formality in case there is anything, but there are no personal glaring issues for Trey Lance. It's just some of the little skepticism that I have from future stuff that we'll talk about right here in my overall opinion. On paper, Trey Lance looks like a slam dunk prospect, but like I try to do in this video, a deeper dive really paints him as more of a confusing prospect whose future is a little bit cloudier. And let me get one thing straight. Just because I'm skeptical about Lance does not mean that I think he's bad. It does not mean I'm hating on him as a prospect. I'm just confused and I'm nervous. Because when you're drafting a quarterback, you're putting the entire franchise in their hands. I think you look at players like Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields, I feel like they're guys that can go in and they can run a scheme that an organization has in place. But I think Lance is more of the guy. It's going to take a team and an organization that's willing to build around him and build a scheme around his skill set. And I think that's really the only way that I see Lance succeeding as the type of prospect people kind of think he is right now. You look at Baltimore with Lamar Jackson. He got there to Baltimore, and after 1 year, they dedicated their entire offseason to building a scheme around Jackson and his strengths. And I think that's what it will take for Lance to succeed. I know I'm skeptical, but I think really a lot of people should be skeptical. And if there's not the right fit, I might not like the pick of Trey Lance, and I might not like him as a prospect going forward. Overall, the film and the stats tell a different story, but you got to give the upper hand to the film because it's really tangible. It's what we see from him as an actual football player, not a number. And the film shows you an inconsistent player who has some bad tendencies that are caused by things he cannot control, yes, but things that are there nonetheless. And when you're judging a prospect, you have to take all things into account. So overall, I am skeptical on Lance, but it can be saved with the right fit. I think a lot of people are overrating him in the media. I want to have this be a little bit more of a down-to-earth look at Lance because he jumps off the stat page. But in reality, I don't think he's as good of a quarterback as that stat page says. So that's all I got. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like. It only takes 10 seconds of your time, and it really helps us out and helps the video grow. Also, go down into the comment section and let me know what you think of Trey Lance. I want to converse with you guys down in the comment section and hear what you guys think of Trey Lance as a prospect. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Are you skeptical like I am, or are you more firm? What takes do you have on Trey Lance? I want to hear it all down in the comment section. And while you're down there, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on future scouting reports and other football content. But I just want to thank you guys so much for following along to this scouting report. You guys can find all the rest of them in a playlist down in the comment section. This is the third one I've done, but there could be more if you go down there and check. Down in the description, you'll find the playlist with all the scouting reports on it. So go down there, check that out. Make sure you subscribe, like, and comment. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.